Kevin, of course, his training was primarily as a pianist, but he always loved to write music. I would say that he got really serious about it after he was diagnosed with HIV. He wanted to leave a legacy. He wanted something lasting, and I think that he did really well with that.
When Kevin started writing the piano concerto, there wasn't really enough time to get it written and orchestrated before the premiere. I don't know how he did it. I don't even know if he knows how he did it, but somehow it happened. He was indefatigable, or crazy, or driven, or all of the above. He worked on it 24/7, either at his keyboard or ruminating about it in his head.
So one night I was driving home from band rehearsal, listening to June LaBelle on the classical station in New York, and she's interviewing a young man named Kevin Oldham, and they were talking about his musicianship and how he had his debut at Carnegie Hall and how amazing he was at the piano, and that he was going to have the debut, the premiere of his piano concerto with the Kansas City Symphony Orchestra, and it was only 2 months away. And she says, "Oh my God, that is just around the corner." And he said to her, "No, it's not around the corner, not when you have AIDS. For me, 2 months is a lifetime." He then played the second movement of the concerto, and that's what I heard. But he played it on the piano because it hadn't been performed with an orchestra yet. He played it on the piano, and what I heard in that 5 minutes of music was the hope and the loss of hope, the love of life and the life that's going to be taken away. And hearing that in the car, I didn't know what to make of it. I just thought, this is it. This is the journey. That's what this young man is going through.
This project came to fruition in August of 2023 when Joe Avina approached me after a lunch and said, "Hey, I have something I want to show you." And he played the second movement of the concerto for me. And I was very moved by it. And so he gave this to me saying, "Maybe you want to do something with this." And so I took it home and listened to the whole thing and then was really intrigued by it. So I ordered the score, orchestral score. And from there, I studied it a bit and then decided like, oh, this could really work well, having seen the orchestration for a wind ensemble or a concert band. So then I received the proper permissions from the publisher to have it done. This whole thing had a life of its own. So once Joe gave me permission to move forward with the project through his generous donation, I got on the line real quick with Steve Cohen, who was the original orchestrator. And his response was, "How in the heck did you find Kevin's concerto?" And I'm like, well, I told him the story of Joe. And I said, I'd really like to get this orchestrated for a concert band. And he's like, "I'm very interested in doing that for you."
The solo part was completed. He gave me a sketch which had the solo part in either 2 or 3 staves and a reduction of the orchestration, written out like a piano score underneath that. And he would mark up the score in pencil with how he heard it. Oh, I want to hear like English chord with this, or I want this dark, or I want this light. And I could tell that his instincts were like right on the money. Because I've looked at music, that's how I hear it too. And so I just went about, how would I go about giving this guy the sounds that he wants to hear? Very, very strange revisiting something I did 30 plus years ago. And there were some places that, because of all the experience I had had in the intervening years, there were a couple of places where what I wanted to do, I was able to do better this time around.
As I mentioned, this is in 3 movements, and what Kevin's done here is in the first movement, he's giving you his elegy.
It's about what he's going through. It's dark, it's foreboding. He knows that his life is near an end. And then it becomes nostalgic with a waltz. And then it moves to happier times when he was just the virtuoso he was. And then fate comes back, and you'll hear it in the low A's. And then there's a moment of acceptance. And the music rises into the heavens. A peacefulness comes about it, an acceptance that my time is almost done. It's beautiful. And then the second movement is a love song, plain and simple. A love song to his partner, to the world, to his friends, his community, to all those that passed. And then the third was a party, because Kevin evidently was the life of the party. This guy would walk into a room and light it up. And he liked anything that was louder, faster, harder. He played all the big-time concerti that some pianists just wish they could touch. He couldn't get enough of it. And so we go out with a celebration. So very excited for you to hear the premiere of this work. So without any further ado, please welcome to the stage our soloist this evening, Kim Davenport.
So in some ways, this concerto is reminiscent of other concertos that I've studied. It has 3 movements. It has a fast, slow, fast structure that most concertos do have. But it's also a very special piece that I think was very much a personal expression of Kevin's and what he was going through at the end of his life. The first movement is truly an epic emotional journey. It is monothematic, which only became clear to me the more that I studied it. It has a very simple 2-note motive that is falling, sort of sighing, that unifies the entire movement, and it comes back in many keys and many different ranges on the piano, but it's always there, and I feel like that's how he tied all of these ideas together. But it's full of constant tempo changes and mood changes, constant new ideas. And in that regard, it's a stunning journey, and everyone I've talked to who's listened to the piece from the audience perspective feels that journey. It's also very challenging to perform because it's a lot of different emotions that it takes you through as a performer. It's a lengthy first movement. And then he follows that with this just truly intimate, simple, lovely second movement that's relatively short by comparison, just beautiful, just touching. And as a performer, you're holding this thought that the third movement is coming. It's very, very difficult. It's one of the hardest things I've ever played technically, just in terms of the sheer speed and technical requirements of it. And I just needed to hold on to the thought of Kevin liked to party, Kevin liked to play fast. This is Kevin's voice coming through, and I want to do that justice. That inspired my practicing, all the hundreds of hours that had to go into that movement. But all in all, the statement the piece makes is powerful on so many levels. It's a pianistic tour de force. It's exciting in that regard. It's also full of emotion. It's telling a story. And I think it's a rare opportunity to get to perform a piece that does all of those things. And for the audience to get to experience all of those things in one piece is very special.
I have to tell you that I've been with this music for over 32 years, and if I hear like that middle movement, it still makes me cry. I should be immune to it after all this time, but I'm not. It's that strong, and it's that communicative.
I hope that people will continue to be interested in it and to because it's a really good piece. It's a young person's piece. There's a lot of fun stuff in it, and there's a lot of, as I said, authentic sentiment in it, particularly the second movement. But yeah, it does take a lot of chops. He did not write easy music.
On the day of Kevin's performance with the Kansas City Symphony, he was thin. He didn't look fantastic. And a group of us held our collective breaths, not because we didn't think he would be able to make it through it, really because we really hoped that he would have enough stamina and endurance and give the kind of performance that he wanted to give so as not to beat himself up afterwards when listening to it, which he would, because he was a perfectionist and he wanted to give the best performance he could possibly give.
It hit me like a ton of bricks when I pushed play and started listening, and I was in tears within moments of Kevin's entrance. Listen to the opening orchestra, introduction to the first movement, the piano entrance happens, and within 8 bars, it was obvious to me Kevin was a brilliant pianist, far more virtuosic than I. These are big shoes to fill, and he was dying. I could hear and feel the weakness in his playing, and it would go in and out. He would have moments of great strength and brilliance and moments of weakness. And it just was such a touching experience to imagine the great willpower it must have taken him to finish this project. It was so important to him.
My neighbors were so moved. Many of them were crying during the concerto in the middle, especially at that beautiful love song in the middle, the love of life, and the way Gerard had pointed out to us how we should interpret the concerto. They were still crying when we left the theater. They were just had tears in their eyes when they were hugging me saying, "Joe, this was the most amazing concert I've ever been to. What a beautiful piece of music." And I never expected any of that.
The concerto itself is really magnificent, but when you pair it with the story, it's exceptional. And I just don't come across much music that has such substance and soul to it that has just been laying dormant. And then you find it, you resurrect it, Kevin's voice is back alive, and his story is being told. He's visible. He's visible again in a way that many people weren't. It's emotional for me. He was writing this during the AIDS crisis, and he wanted to leave a voice behind, and he did. So to stand in front of this music is really powerful, and to know that Kevin's story is being told once again is really, it's just very profound.